I'm Dr. Courtney Pate. I am the Director of Home and Hospital for Baltimore City Public Schools. This is my first time joining the task force.
Awesome. We are thrilled to have you. Always great to have Baltimore City Schools in the house. We have a number of amazing teachers and Baltimore City School librarians, but great to have you here with us. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, my name is Gloria. I'm an undergrad sophomore at Hopkins studying public health, and Councilman Zeke came to speak at my class during the past month, and I was really interested in this task force, so I decided to come today to see what it's all about.
Awesome, and we are thrilled that you did. Great to have you here. Want to big invitation to all of our students, undergrads, grad students. This is the place for you. So appreciate you joining us. Anybody else? All right, great. So with that, we are going to jump right into our round the horn. We're going to do the small breakout groups. The question on the table this evening: what is a Baltimore hidden gem that more people should know about? So again, Franny is going to send folks into groups, and if everybody could just briefly introduce themselves, and then what is a Baltimore gem that more people should know about? I'll see y'all on the other side.
All right, breakout rooms should be open, so go ahead. Phil, did you get your invitation to the breakout room? Oh, you did. Okay. Hello.
Hey, Franny.
Hey, you're under iPhone, so I'm not. Who are you? Sorry.
It's Ryan Haynes, and I work with Dr. K and Mary.
Oh, hey, Ryan.
How you doing?
I'm gonna move you into a breakout room. The prompt today is: what is a Baltimore hidden gem that more people should know about?
Okay.
All right, let's do room. Hey, Sarah. Oh, you can't hear me. Hey, Sarah.
Hello.
We are in breakout rooms, but I'm gonna send you into a breakout room. You'll probably be there for like 60 seconds maybe, but they're talking about Baltimore hidden gems that more people should know about. So I'm just gonna send you in and bring you right back out. Monica, I'm gonna make you a co-host.
Wonderful. Thank you. Can you hear me well, Franny?
I can, yeah.
Great, thanks.
All right, welcome back. Great to see everybody. Thank you for sharing your gems. If anyone has like a really good one, do you want to just real quick shout it out? Somebody put a gem, a Baltimore gem out there.
Mine is Round Falls. It's in Drew Hill Park. So Round Falls. It's a waterfall.
That's the same one I gave too. That's so cool.
So then it's not so hidden because two folks knew about it, but that's amazing, and I will definitely check it out. Anybody else?
Yeah, Carrie Murray Nature Center in Gwynns Falls Park, with their cool owls and hawks and turkey vultures that they care for, and their nature preschool and summer camp in the forest for kids.
Love that. Good stuff, Abby. All right. Keeping it moving. I'm really excited for this next portion of the meeting tonight because we are going to hear from one of our very own, the incredible Monica Guerrero Vasquez, as well as Dr. Sarah Polk, on a report that they put together related to Baltimore area children facing barriers in accessing mental health care due to language and gaps in service provision as it relates to young people that are not, their first language isn't English. I will just say that this is a major issue in my district, where we are proud to have a large immigrant population, predominantly Latino folks from Central America, but also people from all over the world. And the lack of equitable access to language services is hugely important. And it's something that we're working on. I know internally, Councilmember Ramos, who's also a task force member, has done a lot in terms of 311 and making sure that that is multilingual. But it's a critically important issue. And I'm really glad it's a really interesting report. But with that, I'm excited to turn it over to Monica.
Okay. Hello, everybody. Good evening. I hope you can see my slides presentation and all my presenter mode slides. You know how things change. Thank you. So my role tonight is basically give you a glimpse of the report for those of you who have not had a chance to look at that and read it. And I'm very happy that Dr. Polk and Mrs. Black are here tonight to answer questions and build up a little more why they report and how it was developed. So the report is called Speaking the Language, and it talks about the right to interpretation and translation services for children and adolescents that have mental health needs in Maryland. Why did we come to the report? What was the motivation to do it? Many mental health providers in Maryland do not offer or refuse to provide interpretation and translation services. And I think we have had that conversation here a few times. And these services are needed to facilitate or enable the communication between individuals with limited English proficiency and their providers, their mental health providers. Even though the providers, or there is funding available, financial assistance that requires providers to provide language access to patients, children and adolescents are denied recommended mental health care. And mental health providers do experience challenges in providing these translation and interpretation services. So the goal of our report was to provide information to close the gap in communication between patients and their providers, to really inform providers and build advocacy and rapport to make changes in how the mental health care is given to this population, to make it a quality and timely mental health care that is necessary. Some of the things that you can read in the report are challenges that providers have to give interpretation and translation for their patients. There is a lack of available funding for those services, like where is the funding available? How can I sponsor that in my practice? There is an increasing population, as you just mentioned, Councilman Cohen, of individuals with limited English proficiency, and also that have a high need of mental health care. And there is a limited number of bilingual or bicultural providers in the state of Maryland. From the analysis that our team made, we built these recommendations that you can read on your screen, but most importantly, highlight that there is a policy that requires providers to provide interpretation and translation services for their patients. I'm going to pause here, and as I said, our team that built this report are Ms. Ashley Black from the Public Justice Center, and from our team, Dr. Sarah Polk, our co-director, our advocacy fellow, Maria Ruiz, and Dr. Joshua Sharfstein from the School of Public Health. So I would like to give people the mic. You can unmute yourselves or put the questions in the chat or comments, and I would like Dr. Sarah Polk and Ms. Ashley Black to add anything about the report and the experience and the journey to do this.
Thank you, Monica, and thank you everybody for allowing us this forum. While people think of questions, I will just add in the process of creating this report, we spoke to a mental health provider group with constituents across the state. And I think in most cases, providers really want to provide equitable care to their patients, and they feel stuck in a system in which there's a lack of clarity about how to contact interpretation, and there are some substandard interpretation services available. And really the providers get stuck in the middle between an unfunded mandate and expectations they can't meet and patients they really want to serve. So I think a lot of the recommendations, the recommendations as a whole serve to empower community families, most importantly, but also providers in speaking up to their agencies or their health systems to say, you know, the old way is not acceptable. You know, there's actually statute here that dictates an improved quality of care in order to meet our patients' needs. And that the recommendations largely fall on the state and probably primarily are actions that need to be taken on the part of the Maryland Department of Health. But getting all this accomplished will require advocacy from you know, all kinds of people from all parts of the state. And through Monica, or we welcome feedback on it. You know, we don't particularly intend to create a 2.0, but if people find problems with it, we are certainly happy to revisit. We're happy to revisit it. So please share broadly to people you think for whom this is of any interest, including providers who need a tool to use to advocate for their patients. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that, Dr. Polk. I'll just come in with just a couple things. So as Dr. Polk was saying, it's an unfunded mandate that stems from, there's two federal laws. It's Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, and then Section 1557 of the Affordable Care Act, both of which there's more information in the report about. But essentially they have non-discrimination provisions that when providers receive federal funding, they have to follow these laws. And this is part of the national origin anti-discrimination provision, which includes language. So just wanted to add that at PJC, we actually, part of our motivation and desire to work with Central Soul to, look at a way to address these issues is that we often receive complaints both from providers and also community members about language access, and we advocate on behalf of patients to be able to access healthcare services, including mental health services, with the I'm sorry, what was that? Oh, okay. So we advocate for patients to be able to access those services with necessary interpretation and translation. And we focus a lot in the report on providers really prioritizing having a language access plan, because that's the best way to sort of get a feel for what the population you serve looks like, what needs may arise before someone walks in the door that speaks a language other than English, and having that plan in place to be able to quickly provide that person care, schedule appointments, and ensure that needed interpretation or translation is already in place. So thank you so much.
Monica, could you put the recommendations back up on the screen?
Do you see them?
Yep. Well, thank you all so much, Dr. Black, Dr. Polk, and Monica, for this report and for your advocacy around it. Does anyone have any questions or general thoughts? I guess one question that I have is, I think the mental health crisis hits different communities differently. And there's sort of a particular feel within our immigrant community having to do not only with, being in a new place, but also challenges with our country's very broken immigration system. During the last presidency in Baltimore and in a lot of cities, there was a lot of pressure from the federal government around deporting people or just sort of scaring people into thinking they were going to be deported. And so I guess I'm curious, I know Monica and Dr. Polk and you all have been doing work. I'm curious kind of what you're seeing in terms of some of the mental health challenges, especially as it relates to our immigrant community, because I really think it is an underserved population. And this report highlights the importance of getting it right as it relates to language and access.
I'll chime in and then welcome commentary from Monica. I think it's important to say that communities have a great deal in common. So I don't think children have more in common with each other than they have more that's different. I think when I think about my immigrant patients in particular, a couple of things come to mind. One is that while families of all kinds are separated for a variety of reasons, it's so common in the story of immigrant families that parents and children may have spent time apart. And that's stressful almost regardless of circumstances. So just the commonality of that experience is notable. And then the other thing I would comment on is that while there's inadequate mental health care, period, the parents of the kids I serve have share many of the common stressors of other people who live in significant poverty, suffer racism, all those common stressors, but they often have, they've had to separate from family, they've had to walk here from Central America, they live in fear of deportation, but the parents have really essentially no access to healthcare or mental health care. And so while with other families, a parent might reference their own, oh yes, I had a mental health problem and I got help. The I got help part really never happens in the case of an immigrant parent. And so these, I think that's just an extra layer that's somewhat specific, or certainly particularly prevalent among the immigrant families I serve.
I have a question. So I'm kind of wondering, I feel like sometimes these things take so long. Do you know if there are groups that are pursuing interim solutions while waiting for the state to take action?
Are you talking about like policy or legislative solutions?
Of any sort, honestly.
Sure. So I can, just speaking for PJC, we actually we chair a work group called the Governmental Access Work Group that works pretty much non-adversarially with state agencies on language access issues, spanning across healthcare to public benefits programs. And so something that we've been looking at over the years and more intensively now is how do we create sustainable funding for interpretation and translation? Because part of the problem is, and what we've heard from providers is, many of them want to do the right thing, but what we're seeing is that because there's no set reimbursement for interpretation and translation, which when you think about, for therapy or say someone who needs to go to a day program that's 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, that can be very expensive. And so looking at, how do we work towards getting Medicaid to fund interpretation and translation? Because oftentimes providers are using reimbursement that they receive for other healthcare services to cover those costs, which makes it so that they're sometimes operating at cost or below cost. So looking at that avenue and working right now with providers to figure out what's necessary to put that in place in Maryland. Is it possible to pursue, to have some sort of state allocation or grant fund to ensure that reimbursement is there? And, other things that we're looking at is just across state agencies, because we see these language access issues there too. How do we ensure that everyone is on the same page in understanding how important this issue is? So those are some of the, I guess, interim solutions as we look to see the state take action on this.
Thank you. Corey?
Hey, this is Corey. This is more of from the school system standpoint. Pimlico have an influx of 100 young people who does not speak, English, or speak very little English. And I see like every day, like I look at the resilience of the young people, whereas they're in math class and they're looking at the numbers and they're deciphering, what the teacher is saying versus what they're doing. But then, and when we go into like the math and the sciences the science and the English, they have like translators on their laptop. We do have an ESOL program. That they bring the young people in and out every day to try to, maybe for an hour or two to just go have session. But I could just imagine like, it's a struggle trying to go and learn a language. But, then there's an overarching layer of mental health. So that has to be like a strange dynamic. Again, we need more clinicians in the school system, especially clinicians that also speak Spanish, speak that language. We have, like I said, an influx of young people from Honduras, and they speak little, so I try to go and speak a little bit, lunch, comida, and all that other stuff, try to go and, speak to them, but it's a lot going on. So, thank y'all for y'all work. It's needed. And, that's thank you.
I will just like to mention and repeat again what we tried to say at the beginning, is that this report is intended to be a tool also for providers who, to inform and also know that there are opportunities for improvement on the care that we're giving to our kids, and a way to approach the care, as Dr. Polk mentioned, from a more holistic perspective, where if the kids are healthier, potentially that's going to help the overall well-being of the family. Because just getting an appointment, in the report you'll see some statements and quotes from patients, but like just getting an appointment, a follow-up appointment, is very complicated and or impossible for these families. So I will really recommend you to take a look, and if you have any questions or would like to participate in some advocacy or action, we are partnering with the Public Justice Center, and Ashley has been amazing to help us develop this report. So you can see the link on your screen, and also you can email us.
Awesome. Last quick question, unless anyone else has one. Okay. Anything we can do at the local level? A lot of this seems aimed towards state, but is there anything from a city perspective that we could do to support increasing language access as it relates to mental health?
Yeah, I think we can all play a part, which is nice. Like, nobody gets a pass. So I think distribute the report, because I think there is a lack of knowledge that there is actually, if you provide care using money you get through Medicaid, you must provide language access. And this is relevant. We focused on mental health. It's true in cardiology. It's true everywhere. And so I think you know, to inform people, and that if you're in a situation where someone says like, I can't believe it, this kid is so sick and no one would give him an appointment, to ask a little bit why, and gather stories of friends and neighbors, and then give voice to those, because I think you know, the cases are so compelling that it's and we need them. Like, I wish we didn't, you know, I don't want to hear another sad story, but I think we should, you know, we should give voice to the, you know, the suffering that people have endured in order to try to make progress.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I would just add, you know, I think seeing, in addition to seeing strong monitoring and enforcement on the state level, on the local level as well, local behavioral health authorities really taking the time to develop materials to distribute to providers, to hopefully send out this report, but also, you know, maybe one-pagers on these obligations and webinars on how to meet them, but trying to figure out a way to ensure that when people experience these issues, that they are able to report them and have them investigated and see some sort of resolution. The system that we have right now is essentially, if you experience a language access violation, you're typically directed to the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services to file an administrative complaint, which can take months to up to a year, from our experience and some of the advocates that we've worked with experience, to resolve, to be investigated and receive a resolution. And typically by then, the person has waited to receive that needed interpretations for so long that that resolution doesn't really mean much. So seeing some more action on the local level would be fantastic and mean a lot to people who experience these issues and need access to care.
Actually, I'm sorry, Zeke, to take up your time, but I think, Ashley, I really want to piggyback on that point. I'm really glad you said that. I think in the local behavioral health authority, there's been a lot of curiosity about how well, like, how does the care that's being provided map on to what we know about the demographics of people that live in Baltimore City? And there are going to be discrepancies based on in being able to be insured. But for kids, we really should see that the care being provided bears something in common with who actually lives in our communities. And so I think accountability at the local level, not for these individual cases of denied care all the time, but even just this mapping of, like, are the people getting the care? Did that, you know, how does that resemble the composition of our communities?
No, that's helpful. Very much appreciate it. Really, really appreciate this report. Appreciate the advocacy. I think it's critically important. And, you know, please consider this task force an ally and a supporter, and whatever we can do to assist, let us know. I've already put your report on my social media, Dr. Polk, but I'm gonna keep doing it. Happy to distribute it widely. And again, Monica, always appreciate your thoughtful work. So thank you all.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Take care.
Please give them a big round of emojis before they leave. There's the heart. Bunch of hearts, some clapping. Great. Thank you. Appreciate you, Dr. Black. And thanks for coming and joining us. Awesome. All right. So it is 6:07. So we are going to jump into our groups. I'm going to pass the mic to Franny. She's going to give instructions on who's going to stick around here. And then she's going to bloop us away into groups. Oh, wait, before we do that, Lydell got the hand up.
All right. Thank you. I just wanted to share some thoughts I've been having with the task force. And I just hope that they can be like, talked about, I guess, further in the ways that we're able to really do the work, because I feel like I've been falling short in my role here and like what I've been able to really do. And I just want to speak on that experience just for a moment, if I can. And uh, I don't want to take up too much time, but I do just want to address. There's a lot of groups that we've tried to bring into the space, and I think as I've tried to like work with folks on like the local and this city level, we found folks that are, really trying to work alongside us, and I have appreciated that support in the ways that we've been brought onto these different platforms. I've tried to bring some young folks into these spaces, and young people that have even helped create the Elijah Cummings Act, and things that kind of really impact their lives. So we're talking about their lives and really doing this work around their lives. There's a lot of folks on this call that are really doing that, and I want to make sure they're acknowledged and they know who they are and can speak to that. But I just want to say that I haven't seen everyone who's come onto these task forces, like I guess properly compensated or like really appreciated. There's some of the like young people like from Youth Action Board and Youth as Resources that we delayed in having their presentation and allowing them to share some of their work, and just considering like services and the work that those young people are doing and continuing to do. They're still going to keep sharing their ideas, but I think that when folks are coming into the space and sharing what they're doing, just being equitable and how we can like support all those different groups, and considering what is going on for all those groups, especially as we're bringing the most impacted folks often into these spaces. It's just they're not. I can't always like warrant why someone who's on the street homeless should be on this call and speaking on their own behalf, or why a young person who's consistently dealing with trauma should be on this call speaking on their own behalf, because these calls can be heavy. These calls have been a lot on me personally, and I've always felt like I've been able to speak, but like where does that really go? And also like I've seen young leaders come in and out of these movements, and I stay in them because I want to make sure someone's here to speak, but I'm not really a young person anymore, and I'm not even from Baltimore City. And so those are things that like, are really important to me as I'm in my role here. And if, we're working on bringing other young folks that are more well suited into this space, but like when they are brought into the space, like I feel like the opinions and things that they're saying really need to be cherished. And honestly, I feel like the direction of the conversation has been wrong the entire time, because we've been constantly bringing young people into these spaces, and I've been brought into these spaces, and over these times, like I haven't been able to focus on my workshops or be with the students in the schools, or like really create spaces where we can really do this work. And so kind of like thinking about this next year and where I like really want to be, I want to really do this work. But these calls, they're not it for me. I really want to continue conversations with a lot of the leaders that are on these calls. But if we're going to speak about mental health and trauma, I can't come here every time and just keep on. I have not been okay. And I'm gonna take the rest of the night and do what I need for myself. But I know there's already people in the space who have been who've been know what the agenda is and know what they need to speak about. I think if folks want to follow up and continue speaking, that'd be great. But I cannot. I need to figure something else out. And so I appreciate the opportunity to be in this space. If we can think of something different, that would be great. But I hope that all the different committees can really keep pushing this work forward, and we can keep connected in a new way.
So first off, let me just say thank you, Lydell, for your honesty and transparency and for always showing up. I will just want to acknowledge, one mistake we made when we wrote this legislation is that we wrote it in a way where the task force would be all volunteer. And the reason for that was, at the time, felt it was important that we have folks who are in a volunteer capacity and who are showing up because they want to show up. But realize in retrospect it was a mistake, in that I think, to your point, I think for young people, particularly for those who've been most impacted by trauma, it is really important to compensate people for their time. And so I'd say that's on me, first off. But two, something that I really want to work on is, we do have a few young leaders who are considering joining the task force, and I want to try to figure out how to get them paid, not just out of just because it's the right thing to do, plain and simple. So all that to say, appreciate your vulnerability and your share and your push and your accountability. And that I think in a couple of the groups, as we're thinking about working with either young people or vulnerable folks in any capacity, or survey participants, that we are having the conversation around compensating people, and making sure that people's time is really, really valued. So again, I put that on me, but just want you to know that you are very loved in this space, that we absolutely value you, and appreciate everything that you bring, and know it's a lot. But yeah, we love you a lot.
Thank you. Appreciate everyone. I'm not sure if anyone needs to follow up with me. You can follow up with me offline. But thank you.
Lydell, if it's okay if I follow up with you in the next couple of days, just maybe to just talk about or chat about some self-care stuff, because if you're not here, we'll miss you so much. And you're so important to the work. And, we just want to encourage everyone, you and everyone, me too, to take some holidays, to take a break and breathe and nurture yourself. Do something that makes you happy, nourish your soul and your mind and your body, so that you can come back strong and continue the work. And if you have to rest for months, we got you.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
All right,
I guess this is a reminder for us to go and stay grounded in the work, grounded in the vision. Remember that we working to go and lift Baltimore by any means necessary. So Lydell was vulnerable, and we need vulnerability so we can really truly hear the naked truth, untainted truth, and put our minds together to go ahead, and so we can go and lift Baltimore. Because that's what we in here for, to go ahead, heal Baltimore, make it more trauma-informed, to go ahead, heal our youth, our elder citizens, our people in the LGBTQIA, and the people who speak languages not of our own. So that's what we really here for. Stay grounded in the work. Make sure that we are hiring Baltimoreans, regardless of their said degree, but make sure that we're Baltimore is healing Baltimore.
Thank you, bro. And Corey, one of those folks that we need to like highlight and really honor. And there's many more, but yeah, thank you all. We're gonna stay connected. We're gonna stay in touch. I just need to collect myself for a moment, but I appreciate y'all letting me speak to y'all.
No, appreciate you. All right. Lydell, you got my number. Text me, call me. And I will see folks on the other side.
I'm going to open up the breakout rooms. If you are training, please stay here. Otherwise, you can select your room. And I'll stay in while people go out just to make sure no one gets left behind. Zeke, you got the policy invitation? Yeah, okay. All right. Okay, I think.
Yeah, this is us.
Okay, and then I think Steve is going to be on medical. I sent him in, but he might be disconnected from his computer, so his name might be in your group. Oh, there he goes. Okay. All right. See you guys.
Okay. Hey fam.
Hey, Mark.
What's up? I think
Hi, Courtney.
Oh, you have a new person.
Hey, Courtney.
So, I think the words and energy Lydell shared. I mean, I remember being that dude, like I'm older, so I'm 45 years old, right? But I remember having similar energy and thoughts. It's like, bro, you asked me to, not me per se, but people to show up and be vulnerable, but sometimes it's too heavy of a lift, yo. That's a lot. I don't know. When you're in this work for decades long, like you hear so many stories, so much. I have his phone number, so I'm gonna reach out. But it's like, bro, it's you have to be intentional about what you do to recharge, who your support system is. The same thing we ask other people that we help. We have to make sure that we do the same thing, because if not, you'll keep running and running and running until you below empty, right? It's almost like a rechargeable battery. You can only recharge but so many times. And eventually it's like, yo, I'm done. And it's like, yo, you don't want to lose those people who can lead that charge. So before somebody gets to that point, you have to share certain strategies and people and places and resources with the helpers as well. I used to always ask my team, when I was a program manager, like, be intentional about thinking about who helps the helper. So as a leader, I had to. So and I continue to. So I make sure just small things, simple things. But again, if you don't, and you can just keep grinding the gears, you got to be mindful and careful of that. I think far too many times, like we don't do that, right?
Yeah. Do you think he was also saying that he feels like there's too much talk and not enough actual change happening?
I'm happy
that's
that
fact, and that's.
I'm happy that was
You
highlighted.
said it though.
Yeah, I'm happy that was like. So many times we put on our clinician hats and we be like, oh, this person service, or this person might need this help, but like, we hasten to go ahead and like, that's not really listen to what the person is saying. And like, off script, no lie, I talked to Lydell today because we're trying to go ahead and lift up recreation and parks to connect with public schools. And so he and I talked, and he discussed some of the frustrations that he was having, as Tamara said, like, want to be action driven. And like, we do all that's what he was really trying to say. We do all this Zoom and Zoom and Zoom. You know, while our young people are dying, we just lost a 15-year-old person, right? So, you know, we losing teens every week. So, Lydell speaks of it, right now. And Lydell is leading up the youth group of, so he's actually doing what he's supposed to do in his space. He leads the youth group. He leads that for he's the chair for his committee. So of the youth. So, he's speaking of the voice for the youth. So, hats go off to him. He right in some semblance. We need to go and be more action driven. And Zeke got a big hug. I know Zeke gonna reach out like soon as it's over with. Zeke gonna reach on and be like, what can we do? Because Zeke he's actually he's driven, so he gonna reach out. We're gonna go ahead and do something more time. So that's what I felt. We just gotta go ahead and actually listen to what he was trying to say. But you was right about the mental health piece as well. Like we gotta go ahead and make sure that we take care of us. But sometimes tears ain't always because you got like a mental health thing. Tears is joy. Right? Tears like life says like soul. It's like your body is going through a laundromat. You just gotta go and let it out for a second. So ain't nothing all that wrong with it. I guess we gotta go ahead and segue. Again, we love you, Lydell. But let's go ahead and segue to while we're here, and that's for the training portion of the task force. As we all know that that training is going to happen at Pimlico Elementary Middle School. And that's for youth mental health first aid. Looking to get a meeting set up with the principal, but she's out on leave right now because she had something's going on right now. So but everything is good to go. Talk to the head, John McGill. We just had a beautiful meeting. So our all out staff from janitors to people who cook to the secretaries, receptionists, everybody will be trained in mental health first aid. Brendan just checked on. Brendan been hit me up like I don't know what. Whereas he'd be like, look, we gotta go talk to the principal. Like, yo, she out on break. Yeah, be like really not I could do right now. But it's everything's a full go. Again, John McGill, he runs all 6 BCP schools. He excited for this initiative. So, this going to be like what the pilot school for youth mental health first aid, all staff being qualified in it to help service our young people in Baltimore's Pimlico Elementary Middle School.
It's awesome. It's really exciting. And thank you, Corey, for the idea. This was tremendous.
And I just thank everybody for collaborating, because Pimlico Elementary Middle School is really it's an interesting school because it's the only middle school in that sector. And, we service over 700 young people. And when we add let's go and say a single parent family, with the mom, you turn that into like 1,400 people because you're not just servicing the child, you're also servicing the parent as well. So being able to to reach that magnitude of people is amazing. So, I just thank y'all for your support.
So while the principal's away, is the vice principal running stuff?
Yeah, assistant principal Dedman and assistant principal Mr. Holmes, they both run right now.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
With 700 students, it's like without the principal is actually there right now. We're crisis intervention. We are running. we make sure that our principal, when she's there, she can go and be a principal and handle the bigger things. Instead of having to go ahead and worry about a minor incident as or a fight. Let's go and be real. It's Baltimore City. So when she gets back, we will do the meeting, but of course she's out for the entire week, trying to go ahead like run it, but it's no way. I'm not gonna set my bounds.
Yeah, that makes sense. So Courtney, have you heard about the mental health first aid training? Is there anything we can tell you about what our subgroup is doing?
I know what youth mental health first aid is. I oversee the expanded school behavior health service program as a part of my office. And a lot of the work I do in my office is in conjunction with the Office of Special Education. So I meet with the school psychologists, like psychiatrists, social workers, all the people, all the mental health folks I meet with often. In addition, I just finished my, I'm a family nurse practitioner, but I just finished my postmaster certificate in psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner as well, because I just felt like my community needed to see people who look like me provide mental health care for them. So I went back and just finished that on Saturday. So my next steps is to go ahead and sit for boards and get my certification.
Oh my gosh, congratulations. That's huge.
You're amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah. So I'm also married to a social worker who until this school year worked at Baltimore City Public Schools. So we do a lot with mental health around our house.
What?
Yeah.
Miss
So
Courtney, can we? I'm sorry, I'm listening.
so I'm really familiar, and I'm glad to see it happening.
Great. Are you? I'm not going to be pushy, Corey. Don't look at me like that. I'm just going to ask politely. Can she not sit down? Can she not sit down? Can she not sit down sometime between now and Martin Luther King to chop it up? That's all, Miss Courtney.
Yeah, so I'm at work every day, every day of the week. My office is in the KIPP building, in the basement of KIPP at Walbrook Junction. Office of Home and Hospital. So feel free to shoot me an email. I'm in the directory for city schools, but it's CM at BCPS, alphabet soup, all those other letters that go behind our emails. I do spend quite a lot of time at Pimlico because I provide the nursing services at Pimlico. So if my nurse calls out, I end up coming to Pimlico to give their meds for their students. So to try to keep them a little calmer and not have to deal with the behavior issues in school.
Oh, goodness. My apologies. Somebody called my phone and see me off. I think I got the it's CM, right? It's like
yes.
Courtney Mark.
Yep.
Pate at BCPS. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you. That is amazing. So in this amazing group is of course 3 of the smartest people I know and just me. So just so you know, I'm here. We are here. I think to the point because people kept calling my phone. I caught some of the conversations, but we are not that everybody is not, but for us, I'm not a firm believer in paralysis through analysis. There's no need to keep overthinking and saying it. Like, look, let's do the thing. What's the thing? Just do something, right? Mm-hmm. So that I think we move with yes, we think, but then also actionable steps with what we do as well, right? Because just trying to again get like the RFPs out and things of that nature, but also boots on the ground. Because I lost 3 in like 3 months straight, and my homeboy just passed away. Like, yo, this is getting yo, man. Like, I had to call my mother on that one. Like, look, this is getting crazy. Who is she? Though she's 75 years old, she's still a licensed therapist. I'm like, man, you have not had a client, and she keep getting a license. It's crazy. So I can call her and be a son and be a client. Son, I know you're not supposed to have dual roles, so she don't charge me. So I get,
So is this group a breakout group of the larger group to focus on different tasks like the youth mental health first aid?
Yes, of course. Like, what's this like our second, we just finished up making sure that we ironed out the stuff for Monsi so we can make sure our community group had funding, and I can't remember the numbers that it was, but we finished up that, and then we moved into the RFP, getting everything off the ground to make sure the BCP school, Pimlico Elementary Middle School, was on track to receive this training. So, you know, we look for things that's needed. You know, it don't even always have to go and be from the school standpoint. You know, it could be a training for people who work with homeless. It could be training for you know, LGBTQ. Excuse me, y'all know the acronyms. But you know, so we can be more trauma informed and not you know, you being sensitive. So whatever, you know, we feel from our the people that we work with, or the people that we work around and we see in Baltimore, we highlight it. And I'm sure that you as well see some like things that, you know, and wherever you are, whereas though, like, you know, more sensitivity and, you know, training need to be given. Like, you know, we do what we can do, and we talk about it, we chop it up, and we go ahead and see if we can go and get it out to the community.
So I am a Baltimore City native, graduate of the Paul Lawrence Dunbar Community Senior High School. I also oversee. You can't, because we're the best school in the city. It's all right. I do oversee homeless services in my office as well. So a big part of our plan is putting together more community outreach, because a lot of our team's focus is always on how to fix homelessness. And I'm like, we can't really fix it. We're a school district. So let's figure out who are the community partners that we need to be able to connect families to, versus having this focus on, oh, the family needs housing. I'm like, well, I don't have housing. I don't have funding for continued housing. So let's focus on the things that are around teaching and learning that impact homelessness that we can fix. Like, let's make that our lens. So I do a lot of work with the homeless communities. I'm trying to do more in sense of delegation in my office, of getting other people to do more things with more things, so that I can not have to do all the things. Which is why when you ask, like, how has your week been? I'm like, every day is a new day, and it's a busy new day. No matter how much I think I've gotten ahead, there's always something coming at me really quickly. So I'm excited to join the task force. My supervisor, Sarah, used to be on the task force, and she's actually leaving the district soon. So she was like, you have to start doing this meeting. So I was like, okay, yay, another meeting.
Another meeting. Well, welcome.
The beautiful thing, and I'll say, like, you know, with our group in particular, is that you get to see the fruits of your labor, like, pretty quickly, you know, like, you know, whereas most it takes a while, like, you know, you'd be like, all right, look, like I said, our last one that we just did for youth mental first aid is like, literally, we were all down City Hall and be like, hey, look, we got this much money to spend. Hey, y'all go ahead and think about how y'all, and like, literally, that's how I kicked off. And so we had to go deliver what's needed. And so, like, you know, if you were there, you'd be like, the homeless population, and we were like, Mark be like, yo, let's do it. And then everybody be like, yeah, let's do it. Small be like, yeah, so Brendan be like, let's do it. And that's how we do it, like, no lie. So it's like things that we highlight on that where it's awesome. Hey, let's go ahead, go. Let's make it happen. And that's you'll see the fruits of your labor, like, more than like meetings. You just like, oh my goodness, we deliberate. We just talking. We talk. You actually saying it happen.
I wholeheartedly agree. I would ask this though, as we get into the new year, are we goal setting during the remainder of this time, or do we wait until, you know, New Year begins and figure out at that point, you know, because for me, being on the task force is awesome, but then also being a part of the Healing City movement as well. I know that some of this comes like a bunch of other things, so I like to line up my quarters before the quarter comes. Personally, I'm not trying to put the pressure on. I'm just saying, you know, so it's a lot of moving pieces there. Just looking like what that will look like, and then also having a new office opening up on the Eastern Shore is a lot as well. But I'm blessed to have a great team. I like to delegate, Miss Pate. Boom,
so
boom, boom.
I do want to do that. Now, we got Courtney on, and so she said something about homelessness. We might want to play that might be our next theme. So, you know, Courtney, You're gonna put on your thinking cap and go and see. You start thinking about what's needed, and so we can go and work towards that. I think that we should have a conversation with Zeke for us. We can go ahead and see like the next steps, because you're right. Like, the summit is coming, and to start to like, to switch our gears, and even like we can even pour into the summit, whereas though like what's needed, what does other organizations need, and by
in regards to the summit or just in general?
Just in general.
I can tell you that right now. Oh, okay. Okay.
And
we
want
to that right now.
Because we gotta get it from them. Like, what kind of trainings do we think is going to help the people that they serve? So I think
As I talk to more people about that in mental health first aid, they want that now. There's so many more people who like really want, like, bro, well, when can we do it? I'm like, oh, let me talk to my people. I can't answer that yet, but they're trying to get that done before first quarter, because unfortunately, if you're from Baltimore or have been here long enough, as this weather turns back to start to get warm again, it's going to tick up. Everything ticks up, right? So just having something in place prior to would be ideal. I don't know how heavy of a lift that is to try to get that done in that first quarter before the weather breaks and starts to get warm again. But it's been all kinds of people, small and large, like, look, we want that. We would love to have that.
Mark, this also leads me to the point. We got to write this down. Wow. It also leads me to the point. Well, this is getting recorded, so we'll see it. That summer was approaching, and we wanted to go and get something rolled out because we knew the kids would be out. We knew that with young people being out more promised more readily because they're idle. So we wanted to go and get out something so we can go and support youth during summer. And people that work with youth. So like that's something that we might want to go ahead and look into. So before summer rolls out, whereas though we have something set up so we can save lives in Baltimore.
I agree. So maybe the lift is maybe through the first quarter. It shouldn't take the entire quarter, but sometime taken in the first quarter to find out or do a deep dive into, in the past, who has had summer programs, who intends to have them, summer programs and out of school time programs, and begin to train them and their staff with mental health first aid. But not just youth though. I think it's youth is great. Don't get me wrong. We got to start somewhere. But if we keep, I was talking to a couple of people, and one of the things was some young people. I was like, well, so many programs for young people, so many programs. Well, there's no real attachment for programming in the middle. Like when you're a young adult, it's like I'm just out here trying to figure it all out. So it's like figuring out. I'm not trying to develop that program per se, but supporting those, because I'm pretty sure they are some. So I have my team looking into like what types of programs are there. Mm-hmm.
Remember, I forget his name. I don't want to say Dave. I forget his name, but he did say it was a teen mental health first aid. He said peer to peer. It was like teens actually working with. Remember, right?
Yeah.
So, with that being said, it can be done. Whereas though it is taking care of the mid, and it's awesome, kind of awesome initiative, and it's something kind of is actually catchy and it's beautiful for the summer because young people can go ahead and work with their peers. They don't have the bearing downs of school that they got to go ahead. They can actually focus on helping that other young people.
Question: Do you all think that having the training for young people who are who intend to do the Youth Works program, because a lot of them work in camps and work with a lot of other young people alongside, and lead some other young people as camp counselors, so on and so forth, that might be a great place to go as well.
I like that idea.
Yeah, we could think Gotti how we would want that to work. Like, maybe the camp
trainings before they get work. They gotta have to go to trainings before they start to work. So that can just be one of the trainings.
I dig it, but let's think big because we can make it happen. So say if we have like everybody, all the young people, say it's like 350 something young people. Say we can all meet at the lawn of City Hall or something like maybe one of the libraries or something like that, and give an 8-hour training. Make sure that the young people have food. Make sure they have drinks. 30-minute interval for making sure they have music and everything like that, so they can go ahead and have that mental relaxation and then come back into it. So like, you know, you make it fun, but they still being able to go ahead and get trained. All the young people who's going to be like working with other young people doing youth works, that'll be amazing. And it's also speaking to what Adele was saying, like, you know, something that's going to, like, you know, actually compensate the young people for their time. Now this compensation, it would be to help your peers just in case they're experiencing a mental health crisis. So that's beautiful.
I think that would be amazing. We should talk to Zeke about it because we'd need new funding for that. And maybe he knows how to do that sooner rather than later would give it more time.
Question, how much does it is it per amount of people that they train, or is it per training? So for instance, if we say, oh, we want to do one training with 100 people, is it the same cost as doing one training with 10? Or what does that look like cost wise?
It's more about the unit of training. So all right, so just as in Pimlico Elementary Middle School, they had to have 3 trainers. So I guess it's like per trainer that you really have to go ahead, you know, spend monies on, you know. So I guess it's the ratio, I don't know, like 15 to 1 or something, like however they do the ratio.
Okay.
And so they just have to make sure they have that amount of training to go ahead and service that amount of young people. So, you know, what could be done, right, you know, is that, okay, you would take, so instead of 350 people being at the Enoch Pratt Library, so say you have say you have like 50 one day, 50 Monday, 50 Tuesday, and you keep going all the way, you know, until you know, of course not on weekends, until you know it's 50 a pop. But I want to say his name is Dave for Mental Health First Aid. But Dave, he'll be able, you know, Monday through Friday, he'll be training a pop of 50. You know, each time, him and another mental health first aid staff.
Yeah.
Do we know how much it is per staff? Or how much?
We got to talk to Zeke, and Brendan just logged off because Brendan might have knew a little bit more. But soon as we talk to Zeke, you know, all this stuff getting forward to Zeke. Zeke gonna say it. So like, you know, he's gonna be like, this is a great initiative. So like,
this is really great, and I love that idea. You know, getting ahead of summer, training the young people who are going to be working with youth. The other thing I wonder, and maybe Dave said this, or maybe you said this, Corey, but did they ever videotape the trainings? Like, could there be videotapes so that even more people could watch? They don't do it like that.
Yeah, so what it can be is like, you know, and that's a beautiful thing as well. It's like, you know, it can't be video recorded, but what it can be like, we can say we have some like classical music, some jazz in the back, and we have like a photo gallery, you know, whereas though it's playing and it's scripted, it clips us going through the whole time, and you can see like different, you know, so we can still make it tangible for one's eye, you know, if you know, even though it can't be recorded because there's sensitive things being said, you know, in the actual training.
But partly why I asked,
no, reach, like to reach more people.
Yeah, like, so let's say if you can't videotape the training because of sensitive things, like, do they have a format of it with like slides or stuff? I'm just thinking about, ways to reach more people who might not be able to attend in person.
And they do have slides, and you know, they also have a virtual component of mental health first aid. So actually I did that on the weekend. It was grueling.
Because you know what, I'm just wondering, like, if to really get more folks trained, maybe almost like a train the trainer model where people go to the actual training and then they bring it back to their schools with the slides and they do, you know, but I've never been to it before. I don't know, like maybe people would need more than that in order to really do a good job. I don't know.
When I went, I know, I mean, for me, I would much rather be in prison for everything I do. Personally.
Yeah.
But it's when you being interactive with that, it resonates a little more.
Yeah.
Especially for first timers, if you're not familiar with the language and things.
Yeah.
Then it's like all new stuff, right? So I think being there might have to be requisite thing to do. To
That
really
makes
keep
sense.
that. But
Yeah,
I think what Corey said though, having cohorts of 50 at a clip, maybe it can be the way to kind of flesh through. And my thing is, maybe it's not for everybody. I was just thinking from a standpoint of those who deal like in the camps and those and things of that nature. Some of them work in offices. Not that they don't need it, because they still could utilize it in that neighborhood, but I wouldn't have them be in those first couple of groups just to keep the numbers down.
I agree with
and
you.
the price point down.
I agree with you.
So that might, but it would be awesome to get that many more young people
Yeah.
trained up.
Yeah.
Do those jobs. I mean, just any and everybody who interacts with young people should definitely know mental, like use mental health first aid. Why would you not?
What we always worry about is the young people showing up. Listen, it's like it's like orientation, right? So you're gonna show the orientation because that's how you get paid. That's how ultimately.
Exactly.
So that's the prerequisite for prior to actually working. So that's the carrot. The carrot is, okay, if you want to go ahead and work, if you want to go ahead and do youth works, prior to, you have to go ahead and attend this training. All right. So that's a no-brainer. We that's not even, I love our young people love money. so that's the carrot, right? Yeah.
And that's also, I mean, I like how you're saying have a different one each day for a week, because if someone can't come on Monday, but they can come on Wednesday, then they're able to do it.
Yep. Well, wait a minute. We're dominating the conversation. Ms. Lee, you have anything you want to jump in with? No? No. Okay. Does that ask? What you about to say, Court?
No. Just everything that I'm hearing is definitely on board. So we ready to go. We coming upon 10 more minutes before.
Are we going to take that first week of January is no meeting, correct? Or is it one for that first Thursday? It's like the 4th, I think.
Yeah, on my calendar I have it on January 5th.
Okay, so I guess let's take some time when we break out on the 5th to really like, okay, these are the goals we have. I guess we can think amongst ourselves, and then when we reconvene, like these are the goals that we have prioritized after we talk to some people in the community. This is what I would like to see happen. So that way we know by that third Thursday in January and that first Thursday in February, we can be actionable about those things. And just, as well as, summertime is right around the corner. It seems like
Should we reach out to Zeke before January 5th?
Definitely. I'm gonna be with him tomorrow actually. So I can.
Oh.
This was something else, but I will let him know.
Oh, great. Thank you.
I know Franny just said we only had like 5 more minutes. So she's like, oh, we reconvene. Ms. Lee, is this your first meeting?
It was my first meeting. You guys, like, your work sounds so exciting.
It is, because those 2 are really exciting people. Well, 3, I'm sorry. 4. Oh, Kim jumped up. Yay, Miss Kim, how you feel? So everybody else is really exciting. I'm just kind of here as a final walk.
Since it is my first meeting, I think there are a few gaps that I'm still not quite understanding. If you guys don't mind kind of like filling it in. Are those trainings intended for youth workers or youth? And then also, what is psychological first aid?
You got a course? Or you go ahead.
All right. All right. So the training that we're talking about is actually this is geared towards youth and the summer programming that we have called YouthWorks in Baltimore. What we're talking about is mental health first aid. I think I'm the ambassador of that. Like literally, like it's I've been trained for like maybe like over 7-8 years, and it's a go-to for common man without being a clinician or being somebody with a degree, how to like just to be a first responder for young people who might be exhibiting like a mental health crisis. Again, we not clinicians at all, but it's like, giving a tool bag, giving a resource, to people who might be experiencing mental health challenges. knowing that you're not alone, and like, knowing that, okay, we can't fix it, but you can go like, outreach and, bring in clinicians and, to better service the person that's, in a exhibiting a mental health crisis.
Thank you for that. So for this camp, that's for the campers or the camp counselors or both?
Well, I'll speak on that as well as if we have it for the campers. I'm more of the people that's getting paid through Youth Works. So 9 times out of 10, the campers will not get paid through Youth Works.
Right.
Probably do get paid, right?
Yeah.
So as a camp counselor, as a lead, if we see a young person who exhibiting a mental health crisis, it'll be a good tool to go ahead and be like, okay, let's go ahead and use this, to help the young person, as a positive intervention.
It sounds great. Thank you.
So I think
Is there anything else? We got like less than a minute before we get a flood of people back. Is there anything else we need to touch on real quick or no?
I don't
Happy
have
holidays.
anything else.
Okay. I'm good. I thank
Have
you
a
all
good
as per
evening,
usual.
everyone. Absolutely.
Hey.
Have a good night.
No, it's a reconvene if the bigger group is coming back to this space, right?
Are they? It's almost
Yeah, because we didn't move. We'll see in a minute.
Hey, Mark, did you go to the BTU party yesterday?
I did not. I was supposed to. We had a meeting over at I had a meeting, and I was gonna go. There was the BEE over at our house. No, that was Tuesday. I didn't know about BTU yesterday.
Yeah, it was amazing. It was cool.
If you went, why do you see? This is what he does to me, Miss Glee. He'll ask me if I went somewhere. Didn't invite me. Damn, man, did you go? Oh, because I was there. You would have seen me if I was there, sir. Didn't invite. He could have told me 2 days ago. Has my cell phone number. Hey, bro, just so you know.
It was so flooded. It was so many people in there. It's just like, nice. It's amazing. Yeah, it was amazing.
I love to be around the BTU, man. So many great people doing so many awesome things, man.
Yep. Yes, indeed.
So maybe, as usual, Doc was right when she said, see you later, because I don't see anybody else coming back. Although Franny put in the chat, I saw her come across the screen for a couple more minutes, like we were going to reconvene, but I don't see anybody else coming back. So I don't think it's any reconvene.
Yeah, it was supposed to be by now.
Right. So it's always a pleasure. Every 2 weeks for me. No doubt.
And so is this the last time we hooking up before like the January?
New Year. Yeah, see you next year.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, see you.
Wonderful holiday, everyone.
No doubt. Enjoy your time off. Get some rest. Recharge. Repeat.
Yeah. All right, family. All right, bye.
All right, y'all.
Nice to meet you guys.
Nice to
meet you.
Bye-bye.
Hey everyone, I apologize for losing track of time and not bringing everyone back at 6:55. But if you guys
That's okay, you're still going.
if you're still going, I will leave this main room to you and make someone else the host.
Just 1 second, if it's all right. I know you guys were having a conversation. I don't want to interrupt anymore, but Elijah, I don't think I have your email somehow readily available.
Okay, I'll
would,
put it in.
Would you drop in the chat super quick for me? I'm so sorry, but everybody else I don't know why yours didn't come up. But yeah, sorry. Feel free to continue, guys.
Yeah. No. What I was kind of saying was, I feel like the surveys aren't like a waste of time. It just depends on who's like distributing the surveys and like what type of questions are.
Right, and I agree with you. But if we meet with her on the next week, which is then or way before they're planning on doing, I think this is one of the things we want to talk to her about.
Yeah, definitely.
I believe
get, like the youth groups involved, like Heart Smiles, and then you feel me, Yard, like groups like that. Because I remember when we had we met with Just Said, and then I guess Yard was on there, and then they kind of were saying like we don't want, you feel me, like outside help, but it's like we building a team center, so why not try to have youth, you feel me, organize and distribute the surveys, if that makes sense.
But
especially in those areas.
I'm looking at, I understand surveying, but the method of surveying, like to write something down, or it's just it's not done that way. You know what I'm saying? So
let's talk to her about that on next week.
Be a discussion opposed to something written down. Like I work with children every day. They don't want to write anything down.
No, definitely not. But
yeah,
especially like we in a new age, so like we were saying that, like that was like part of what we were saying. We were asking them like, what ways were you guys like distributing the information? And they were saying we were just passing out flyers. I'm like, it's a new age, new technology. Like you kind of have to have QR codes and things like that in order to reach youth, because everybody's on their phone. Nobody, like you said, wants to write stuff down on a piece of paper, because that's kind of pointless, because that piece of paper can end up on the ground in the trash. Like, so I feel like it's like, you feel me, we just gotta, like Dr. Leaf said, because I know it's past 7 o'clock, but just pretty much saying that we have to like just write our ideas, or just bring our ideas to just sit here next week, and just, you feel me, figure out a time that works for everybody who wants to be a part of it, and then also a time that works for Just It as well.
I just sent the email, guys. Let me know if you weren't on there to get it, or if I messed anything up. But that sounds great. I think, yeah, we should definitely continue this conversation, echo the stuff that we've been saying. I'm looking forward, the touching base side. Anything else before we all get off of here?
Well, I gotta go. I'm co-hosting a holiday party for the Eastern Police District that started at 6:30, so I got to get over.
Oh my gosh!
Which is in person, so I need to get over there. So I think again, if we can we'll meet with her Monday or Tuesday. Hopefully, she'll have one of those times. And I do think we want to talk to her about the survey. I mean, she asked for feedback. We don't have to email it to her if we're going to be talking with her, in person. And I also think that somebody else said that, that's her, and then the people, when we talked about the local, the specific branches, I think they had a different context. And so I think talking with her, who oversees this, about the need to better engage the youth, and then she can go meet with the people at the sites about how they could be better engaging the youth. Because I was seeing some pushback when we met with the individual site directors versus, the overall chief of staff.
Okay, sounds good. All right. See you, everyone.
All right.
Take
Great.
care.
Thank you. Good meeting. Thanks for everybody for